Well, folks, and we're back after a couple of weeks, and I took some much needed rest, but we are back with an all new Terranadome. Of course, my name is Scott Terrana. I got a big head. We call it the Dome. It's the Terranadome. We've officially hit the worst week in the entire sports calendar, folks, as it's the MLB All-Star break, and NFL training camp does not open up until the middle of next week, so we are stuck for a few days here. Therefore, it's a quick hits episode where I will be spending a good amount of time eating crow as the Boston Red Sox have really stuck it to me and turned a corner on the season, and we will get into that. We'll also briefly get into the All-Star festivities in baseball, mainly whether or not the Home Run Derby is a good product. And since it's such a slow week, we will talk about a little bit of auto racing as well, namely what's gone down in the world of F1, and also a little prediction there for you too. And we'll have NASCAR's road course conundrum. And finally, this is a rarity on the Terranadome, but we will do a little bit of wrestling. Are we seeing the downfall of the WWE? Could be. All that and maybe more is next on the Terranadome, and it starts right now.
Known as fair square throughout my years, so I growl at the living foul. Black to the bone, my home is your home.
Well, welcome to Terranadome.
The Terranadome, and it starts right now. And of course, welcome back into the show, folks. It's been a couple weeks. I apologize for the delay, but the burnout is hitting hard as I am staring a vacation in the face in just 4 days. And life and work, that hit me pretty hard. So I appreciate your patience. Welcome back into the show. I apologize, I'm a little rusty. Of course, I am Scott Terrana. It's the Terranadome. Last time I was on the show, I was ripping the crap out of the Boston Red Sox, who were on a 6-game losing streak. And they were like 3-10 since the trade of one Rafael Devers, something that I had ripped the crap out of them for the previous episode. Before that, I was riding high figuring I was right, but boy, does it suck that my baseball team's going to suck once again, right? Well, turns out Scottie was wrong, okay? And in this field, you can either ignore the fact and brush over the fact that your takes are wrong because you're going to get some wrong over the course of time, right? Or you can sit here and admit there's egg on my face. I'm going to eat my crow today. The Boston Red Sox, since the last episode of the Terranadome, are 13-2, ladies and gentlemen, including a 10-game winning streak to finish off the first half of the season, at least heading into the All-Star break, with 10 straight wins over, yes, the lowly Washington Nationals, the historically bad Colorado Rockies, but then you sweep your division rival Tampa Bay Rays at home, a team that has whooped your ass for the past 4 or 5 years, at least certainly in the 2020s. You are now 8-10 against the Rays this season. And now, at 53-45 through 98 games, the Boston Red Sox at the All-Star break are only 3 games back in the American League East and only a game and a half behind the Yankees. Watch out, Yankees. They're now 16-9 since the Rafael Devers trade. Remember last episode, they were 3-10. Now they are well, that seems actually impossible. No, they were 3-7. Got that wrong. They were 3-7 at the time of the last episode, 13-2. That makes it 16-9 since the Devers trade. Since the last show, in 15 games, the Boston Red Sox have scored 110 runs, and they've allowed just 47. That's 7.3. I'm getting too excited, folks. 7.3 runs scored per contest and just 3.1 runs allowed per contest. I have doo-doo on my face because it looks like Craig Breslow was right, and this team is going to buy at the deadline. I'm bought back in, folks. But Scott, how can you trust this ownership group? Some of my friends who listen to the show will say. And you're right, I can't. All I can trust is what my eyeballs are telling me. What my eyeballs are telling me is that this team has played its way into buying at this trade deadline, which is only 17 days away as of this recording. But this team has it. This team has that thing. I don't quite know, but I think with a couple additions, it definitely could. But it has that thing. It's got that thing. I've seen it before. I've seen it on July 4th weekend in 2004, and I've seen it in a late June series with a Daniel Nava walk-off against the Kansas City Royals in 2013. Season-defining moments that turned them around and made you think, well, this team's going to win the damn World Series. It could happen, folks. It really could. I know. Talk about a big 180 in just 15 games of a 162-game season. 10% of the season. I sound like a lunatic, but this team has got that thing. They're playing for each other. They obviously care deeply for one another. And they also have a player manager coach on this team named Alex Bregman, who's making a huge, huge difference in some of these young kids and even pitchers too. So yeah, I've got egg on my face, but they got that thing. Craig Breslow has actually come out and said we need to get another high-end pitcher to pair with Garrett Crochet. You put one of those guys in behind Crochet, who's been nails, and I'll get to that in a second, just ahead of Lucas Giolito and Brian Bayo, who have both turned a corner and become frontline type starters in the past month and a half. Now, Garrett Crochet, if you remember over the winter when they made the trade to get Garrett Crochet, they gave up 4 prospects. It was a tough pill to swallow, but I told you then that this was going to be a great trade for the Boston Red Sox. So far, he's been even better than advertised. First half, a 2.23 ERA is tied for the American League lead with reigning Cy Young winner Terry Skubal. He started 20 games. That leads all of baseball. 129 in the third innings and 160 strikeouts lead all of baseball. That is a fact. That is not an opinion. Brian Bayo did not start off well this season. Kind of started off late, had an injury, came in, didn't look good to start. Now he's added a cutter to his arsenal, and he's starting to look like exactly what I thought he would be 3 years ago when he first came up to the big leagues, okay? In his last 6 starts, Brian Bayo has a 2.5 ERA and an 0.92 whip. 39 in the third innings pitched, 27 hits, just 9 runs, just 9 walks, and 33 strikeouts for Bayo. And the team is 4-2 in those 6 starts. And Lucas Giolito, a guy that looked completely lost, but granted he hadn't pitched in the big leagues in 2 years, looked completely lost his first 7 times out, for the most part. There were a couple of good ones mixed in, but he had some real bad ones in there. Giolito, in the same span, his last 6 starts, Giolito, 38 and 2/3 innings pitched, 24 hits, just 3 earned runs, 10 walks, and 37 strikeouts. Giolito, a 0.7 ERA and an 0.88 whip, which of course is walks plus hits per innings pitched. But it's still only a 3-man rotation, right? You got Walker Buehler, who you paid $21 million to, and he's been absolute dog crap. Sorry, it's true. His career may be done. 2 Tommy Johns, a lot of guys never come back from that. And then the 5th spot, maybe Tanner Houck comes back and he can give you something. But you haven't seen anything to believe that that's going to be the case. But they've got a decision to make on Tanner Houck. But you've got Richard Fitz, who could be a really high-end bullpen piece for a couple innings at a time. Or you could try to put him in the rotation for 5 innings at a time. The bottom line is you get one more pitcher. You get one more pitcher into this rotation, and you are off to the races, my friends. And unfortunately, I've got a solution for you, Sox fans. And you're not going to like it. A lot of you aren't going to like it. And it's weird that we'll draw the line on this guy, even though we just shipped out Rafael Devers and we shipped out Mookie Betts 5 years ago. But Jarren Duran's the odd man out here, guys. Okay? Hi, Mom. I know you don't want to hear this, and a lot of fans don't want to hear it. But Jarren Duran is the odd man out in this situation. You optimally want to play Roman Anthony, Marcelo Meyer, Wilyer Abreu, Ceddanne Rafaela. You want those last 3, or not Meyer, but you want your outfield to be left to right. You want it to be Roman Anthony, Ceddanne Rafaela, who's a Gold Glove, who should win the Gold Glove in center field in the American League this year. He's been incredible. And the guy who won the Gold Glove in right field last year, Wilyer Abreu. Plus, all of those guys are hitting better than Duran is right now. For the balance of the year, Abreu has, and so has Ceddanne at this point. We'll get into Ceddanne Rafaela in a little bit. But for me, Jarren Duran's the odd man out. I love the drive that he plays the game with. A little too up and down emotionally, and it's not because of the suicidal stuff, okay? It has nothing to do with that. It just seems like when he's going bad, his motor's not the same, and I think the team maybe reflects off of that a little bit too much. I like Duran as a player. Has not been the same since last year. I think he's going to move. The dream target, and I know it's been talked about quite a bit, but it's Minnesota Twins right-hander Joe Ryan. If you can get this kid, a 27-year-old kid with control, with a little bit of control, and also somebody that's got an ERA under 3 and is a really, really good starting pitcher. Trust me, I play fantasy baseball. Joe Ryan's an excellent starting pitcher. He'd be perfect. He'd be an ace on plenty of staffs. A clear number 2 behind Crochet. Perfect addition to the Red Sox if they can get it done. It will not be cheap. I'll tell you what it will take. To get a guy like Joe Ryan to be number 2 in this Red Sox rotation, it's probably going to take Jarren Duran. It's probably going to take Yoss Nixon Garcia, aka the password, a nice projectable power hitting right-handed outfielder, somebody that you could use, but ultimately I think is going to get moved. And one of their higher end pitching prospects, like either Peyton Tolley or Luis Perales, to get it done. I think it's gonna take something like that. That's a hefty package. That's a hefty price to pay. But I do think Breslow pulls the trigger on something like that, especially when you consider this fact. The Boston Red Sox took 3 starting pitchers in the MLB draft last night, including one that I like a lot at 15 overall. So I think that's a couple of these guys are going to move. It may even be maybe 2 pitching prospects instead of the password with Duran. I'd love to see them keep the password. I think the password's going to be a damn good major leaguer, but we will see. But anticipate a trade happening with the Boston Red Sox, and it is going to be a significant move. Do not forget that they cleared up a crap load of money. I'm not saying that they're going to recoup all of it, right? Because I think some of it's going to go to the extension of Alex Bregman. But they can easily go and get a couple back. I wouldn't be surprised if they go get a first baseman either. I would love to see Josh Naylor here in Boston, but you would be giving up a good chunk of your farm system if you go get a high-end starting pitcher plus a guy like Josh Naylor, a first baseman, another lefty. But I don't think you want Abraham Toro starting playoff games. Just me. My cats are stupid. But before we go, and I know I said that this was a quick hits episode. The rest of the episode will be quick hits, folks, but I had to tip my cap to the Boston Red Sox, and this is how it's going to be today. But before we go, we need to talk about a blossoming superstar out in center field, and that is one Ceddanne Rafaela, a guy who, if you recall, I said should be moving around and should be a super utility guy like a lot of other people did too. Wrong once again. Wrong. This guy is a ball player, flat out, plain and simple. Did a couple of batting cage sessions with coach/player teammate Alex Bregman, and Bregman identified something with Rafaela. He says that he hears Bregman's voice in his head whenever he goes to the plate now, and it is friggin' working because this kid has a 1,000 OPS over the last month, and he is proving heroic time and time again. Let's take you back to last Friday night. 1 out in the bottom of the 9th. Sox are down 4-3. Roman Anthony took a walk earlier in the inning to get as a pinch hitter, no less, against a great closer in Pete Fairbanks. He's on second base for Ceddanne Rafaela. It's a 1-2 pitch as Nesson shows a fan in the stands pointing at the green monster. And here is the clip of the year so far.
Swinging a drive! Oh! He killed it! And it's out of here! It's gone! Ceddanne does it! The Sox win it! They walk it off against Tampa Bay! Are you kidding me? That is the sound of 8 straight at Fenway!
Just absolute chills, man. Just instant goosebumps, man. Just crawling down your spine. Just what a moment that was. And I'm going to tell you, as a staunch Don Orsillo guy, that is the best call that Dave O'Brien has had here in Boston as the play-by-play guy for Nesson. In the 10 years that he's been here, that was by far his best call. What a great call by OB on that one. Also, a big turning point win for this team. The Sox would go on to sweep the Rays that have dominated them for most of this current decade. They now are 8-2 on the season against Tampa. I honestly believe, and I know because just a month ago today, when they traded. It was like a month and 3 days ago today when they traded Rafael Devers, and I said they're insane, they're idiots, and this thing is cooked. So wrong. Very, very wrong. At least I can admit it. Buckle up. This is going to be a fun ride over these final 64 games of the regular season, guys. Get ready. This is going to be awesome. Okay, now for the quick hits. This thing's going to move really quick now, okay? Because I really don't have much else besides that, folks. This is a rough week on the sports calendar. So here we go. Tonight is the MLB All-Star game. Home Run Derby, of course. And is the Home Run Derby a good product? At first, when this new format came out, which is basically 2-minute time rounds, you can take a timeout in the round. And also, if you hit the ball, if you hit a couple homers over 450, they give you an extra 30 seconds of bonus time. I thought it was great when they first came out with it. I want to say 6 years ago, something like that. I think about 6 years ago. But the more I think about it, especially when I have multiple fantasy assets in Dynasty Baseball that are participating in the Home Run Derby, I don't like it anymore. It's not as good as the old one used to be. Like I said, I like the novelty of the new format at first, but it takes too long, and I think it beats the crap out of the players, and that's even worse. So this year, you have the big dumper, Cal Raleigh, who has 38 home runs before the break, most ever by a catcher, second most all-time behind, of course, Barry Lamar Bonds in 2001 when he hit 40. Then you have young James Wood, who I'm not trading him in fantasy, guys. You keep asking, but I'm not going to do it. James Wood has 24. Brent Rooker of the Athletics has 20. Junior Caminero of the Rays, another budding superstar, has 23. O'Neal Cruz, I thought was going to be a superstar, but can't get his head out of his ass. He's got 16, but I think he might win this thing. Matt Olson has 17, and Steve Davis's favorite player, Jazz Chisholm, has 18. It's not the best field that we've seen. I think it's still going to be a fun night, right? I might even watch a little bit of it. But I think it's too much. Go back to the 10-out format and see if somebody can do what Josh Hamilton did in Yankee Stadium back in 2008. That was incredible, but we really won't ever see anything like that again. Go back to the old format. Quick hit point number 2. What about the All-Star game itself? That sucks too. That sucks too. Too many opt-outs. Nobody cares about playing in the game anymore. Pitchers that pitch the last day or two before the game don't pitch in the game anymore, which I understand. I understand maintenance and a lot of these injuries that happen. It's just not, it's just a lot. Nobody cares about the game, but like I said, nobody cares about playing in the game anymore. It's just as valuable to a lot of these guys to be named to the team and then get replaced. So it's not the same when it ends up being like 75 All-Stars instead of 50, right? It's just not the same. No one gives a crap about All-Star games in sports anymore. I don't know what you're going to do about it because you have too much legacy with all of them. At least hockey kind of gave up and like did the little 3-on-3 tournament thingy. Still not that great, okay? NBA one's a joke. The football game, would they play flag football now? Maybe you got to scrap All-Star games altogether. I think that's going to be on the table in a few years. Okay. We're flying through it, guys. I really don't have much this week, but I didn't want to leave you hanging. It's been a couple weeks. This is the Terranadome. I'm Scottie T. We are doing auto racing right now, folks. Formula One. Formula One big development came out last week when Christian Horner, the team principal at Red Bull, the team that has won four straight championships leading into this season. They are not going to make it 5, and that's probably part of why he's gone. He's also a bit of a pervert and harasses female employees, even though he's married, stuff like that. So Horner is kind of an appropriate name for him, Christian Horner, perhaps. But a guy that's won 8 driver championships, as a team principal. I think this is the beginning of the end for the Red Bull team, at least for quite a while. And I'll even go one step further. Obviously, Max Verstappen, a guy that was going for 5 championships in a row this year, will not get there. Won't do it with Red Bull. But I do think he's going to get his 5th championship. I think it's going to be with Mercedes, the team where Lewis Hamilton had all of his success. In 2026, I think Max goes to Mercedes. George Russell, the guy that he's going to replace, That's going to go right up George's ass. He's going to go to Red Bull. The reason I say that is because Max and Mercedes boss Toto Wolff, two Fs, they had a secret meeting in Sardinia, Italy, over last weekend. And the only reason that we even know that is because it was found out by internet stalkers who tracked both of their private jets to the same place at the same time. And Max was only there for 6 hours. Yeah, you can find that stuff on Twitter. Thankfully, though, for us F1 fans, the McLaren dominance is going to end in 2026. Enough of Lando Norris. Enough of Lando Norris. Okay? I'd much rather see Oscar Piastri win. I think he's a much better driver, too. But hey, we're going to see Verstappen back on top once again. But in a Mercedes in 2026, new regulations with the car. Mercedes expected to be at the front of the pack again. Who would have ever thought Verstappen to Mercedes? Book it. It's going to happen, folks. We are on to quick pick point number 4. More auto racing. Don't worry, guys. Not going to do this every week. Now we turn back home to the States in NASCAR, the National Association of Stock Car Auto Racing, and their non-oval track dominator. That would be one Shane Van Gisbergen. Van Gisbergen, a 36-year-old New Zealander, just won his 3rd straight Cup Series road course / street circuit race of the year. This is a guy who had 81 career wins in supercars, and he won his first ever stock car race at the Cup race at the Chicago Street Course in its inauguration 2 summers ago. He has 3 wins this season, all 3 on those road course / street circuits, with 3 other drivers for the season lead. People are bitching about this, traditional NASCAR fans. It's the only reason I'm bringing it up. Because he's 26th in overall points and is not good on ovals yet. Doesn't have the experience to ride ovals, and Cup is not good on ovals yet. But he's going to be in the playoffs. And if he wins another road course race, which is coming up in Watkins Glen on August 10th, he just may slide right into the second round of the playoffs by default. Ooh, then what's going to happen? Their little tiny brains are going to explode over there. Traditional NASCAR fans are predictably complaining. Me, I think it's a good thing for the sport. I always liked the road course ringers when I was a kid, right? But it forces the other drivers to step their game up. Like Chase Briscoe, for example, ran second all day long behind Shane Van Gisbergen. Never got to more than 3 seconds behind him, but could never pass him. He said, "I've never been more proud to finish second in my life." That's how good this guy is. They all respect him because he is that damn talented. And if you want a betting tip, it's not going to make you a ton of money. But when the opening lines come out at Watkins Glen for August 10th's race, so probably on like August 7th, go ahead and bet I'll throw $100 on Shane Van Gisbergen to win that race. He would have won it last year if it wasn't for Chris Buescher pushing him out of the way. So you got the NASCAR stuff. Traditionalists not happy, but it's good for the sport. Be better at road courses. But we'll see. And finally, I'm going to go even further out on the limb in this quick hits edition of the Terranadome. Final point. Professional wrestling. And we're not going to do a broad landscape here or anything like that. But I'm kind of starting to think, is the WWE dying? I think it kind of is. Of course, we know that there was a scandal with Vince McMahon, and we're not going to talk about that dirty, nasty stuff. But basically what happened is a Saudi, a powerful Saudi investment group, whatever they are, TKO. I might have that wrong. Sorry, wrestling. I know a few of you listen to the show, and I appreciate you. But their influence on booking is killing the company. Unless you're in the bloodline of The Rock or Rikishi and your last name is Fatu or Uso, you're basically being squashed at every turn at this point. It's so predictable. And just as an example of why I think they're in deep, deep doo-doo here, is because one of the premier matches at SummerSlam is Logan Paul, who you may recall at one time being a YouTube influencer. He's actually a great wrestler. He's fantastic, super talented, one of the best heels you'll ever see as well. And Drew McIntyre, former world heavyweight champion, against Randy Orton, one of the best of all time, and Jelly Roll. Jelly Roll. Yes, Jelly Roll. A fat singer with face tattoos who's fatter than I am. That guy is going to be in a prominent match at one of the 4 biggest PLEs, used to be called pay-per-views. Actually, the third biggest pay-per-view, maybe the fourth. It's either that or okay. So you got Royal Rumble, you got WrestleMania, obviously, SummerSlam, and Survivor Series. Those are your big fours. He's going to be in a prominent match in one of the biggest 4 pay-per-views of the year. Meanwhile, Booker and head of creative Triple H, you may remember him, a guy that used to bury people when he was in the ring all the time, refuses to put over huge self-made stars like Karrion Kross and LA Knight. 2 guys that deserve to be in the title picture. And yes, Knight always is in the title picture, but they never put the belt on him. Even though the crowd loves him, he's got some of the best mic skills and in-ring skills in the company, he never gets his due. Oh, and speaking of putting people over that don't deserve it, Bill Goldberg. Bret Hart, I know, enjoyed it on Saturday night when his retirement speech was cut off. At what seems like age 60, Bill Goldberg just headlined last week's Saturday night's main event for his retirement match, a World Heavyweight Championship match, which he ultimately lost. Obviously was not going to beat Gunther in his retirement match. We all knew that. But give the old man credit, because the match actually lasted over 14 minutes. But what are we doing here? That was the main event. Thankfully, the women's division is outstanding nowadays. They had a pay-per-view a PLE the night before, and they were outstanding by all accounts. Thank goodness the women's division is as good as it is and in the ring too, and not just in bikini contests and other contests like when I was a teenager. Although I gotta say, at the time, I really enjoyed that. But it's really way cooler to see the athletic ability and the talent that so many of these chicks have. It's really, really fun to watch, honestly. Io Sky is incredible. But the company's in a little bit of trouble here. They're without arguably their top star on the women's side, Liv Morgan, for a long time due to an injury. Company card carrier Seth Rollins appeared to tear his ACL on Saturday night as well in his match with LA Knight, because he was supposed to win that match. And he tore his ACL. And rather than some kind of BS roll-up, he changed the outcome of the match, gave the clean victory to LA Knight, because that's what a professional does. Okay? I've been watching long enough to know, guys. I know. So, let's hope that they don't guff up John Cena's final handful of matches here as well. It does seem pretty obvious that they're going to hand the belt back to Cody Rhodes at SummerSlam. So maybe John Cena then takes a face turn to end his career, as he probably should, because the heel thing just feels empty and gimmicky. And it's kind of cool, but like it's kind of stupid when they're still cheering for him all the time too. Doesn't really work. But as always, and I will close out the show on this, and a couple of my wrestling buddies will know exactly where I'm going with this. I say put the damn belt on Randy Orton, would you? The guy has earned it. He keeps losing. He's another one that keeps losing big matches and taking it for the company. He's got more left in the tank than Cena does right now. You better give him the same kind of due when he's going out that you did John Cena. Randy Orton never left the company for Hollywood, as Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns are about to do. There's your WWE minute, folks. Bet you didn't think I had that one in the cards, did you? My name is Scott. That's the show, folks. It's the Terranadome. Pat's training camp starts next Wednesday. So even though I've got a very busy end of the week coming up next week, it's my birthday at the end of the week, guys. Oh my God, I'm going to be 35. God. I'll be sure to have something for you on that, even if it's like, the Monday after. And then after that, I'm taking another break. I'll be on vacation, so it'll be another 2 weeks in between shows. But in the meantime, it's the Terranadome. Tell somebody you love them today, because tomorrow is not promised, people, and I mean that, and it's the truth. Any day above the dirt line is a good day, as my dad always says. Tell somebody you love them today. Tomorrow is not promised. Hit the like and subscribe button, folks. I will be back. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. But you'll see me soon. It's the Terranadome. Peace. Championship game. I believe that. Listen, you're right about Derrick Henry, especially in cold weather. No one's going to want to tackle that guy. So it's going to be imperative for the Buffalo Bills to jump out early in this game and get a lead and force Lamar Jackson to have to play from behind. They can do that. They're going to win this game. mention things that we love to hear, like we're getting the entitlement out of our team, and we're going to earn the opportunity to come into this building every day. I absolutely love that. One thing I will say for sure, yes, they definitely need to go and spend some friggin' money. They're going to have the most cap space in the league, and I'm going to kill them every week on this show until they spend money.
Known as fair and square throughout my years, so I growl at the living foul. Black to the bone, my home is your home.
Well, welcome to Terranadome.